Wiseman, who is going to give I would like to say that again so that everybody can hear it. I'd like to introduce Morris Wiseman, who is going to give the Devar Torah for this week, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Shabbos. Last Sunday was Rosh Chodesh El, the prelude to Rosh Hashanah, a time to reflect on the deeds and actions of the past year and to consider the next. From the beginning of El, we have a wake-up call every morning, not by means of electronic alarms, but by a very ancient instrument, the shofar. The shofar is blown from the start of El to its penultimate day, marking the difference between the voluntary blasts during the month and the mandatory blasts for Rosh Hashanah. But what is a shofar? It's a hollowed out horn. But it's not as simple as that. According to the Talmud, the shofar may be made from the horn of any animal that has both the cloven hoof and chews the cud. But it does not necessarily have to be ritually slaughtered. However, not all animals are created equal. For instance, the antlers of a deer cannot be used, since they are made of solid bone and cannot be hollowed out. Cow and ram horns, on the other hand, are made of keratin, the same material as toenails and fingers, on a core of bone surrounded by cartilage, which is easily removed to make a hollow horn. Theoretically, the horn can come from a non-kosher animal, because under most interpretations of Jewish law, the shofar is not required to be matar b'fikha, permissible in your mouth. The mitzvah is hearing the shofar, not eating the animal it came from. The shofar falls into the category of tashmihel mitzvah, objects used to perform a mitzvah that do not themselves have inherent holiness. Moreover, because the horn is always inedible, it is considered afra alma, mere dust, and not a non-kosher substance. The Elf Hamagim, Rabbi Nachum Meir, German, prioritizes the animals that can be used in the shape of the horn. First is the curved horn from a ram, then a curved horn from a sheep, a curved horn from other animals, a straight horn from a ram or other animals, a non-kosher animal, or a cow. The first four categories are used with a bracha, the fifth without a bracha, and the last not at all. The use of a cow's horn is contraindicated, since this is reminiscent of the golden calf. Generally, Ashkenazi and Sephardi Sepharim are made from the horn of a domestic ram, whilst the Yemenite shofar is made from the horn of a kudu. Although its use has diminished in modern times, the shofar is mentioned frequently in the Bible and the Talmud. Firstly, in Exodus 19, the blast of a shofar emanating from a thick cloud on Mount Sinai makes the Israelis tremble in awe. The shofar was blown at the times of Joshua, and as they surrounded the walls, the shofar was blown, and the children of Israel were able to capture the city of Jericho. Rather like the sounding of a bugle initiating a cavalry charge, the shofar would be used in a time of war. It was also employed in processions as musical accompaniment and were inserted into the temple orchestra by King David. In biblical times, the shofar was used to announce the new moon, and on the first day of Tishrei, unless this was a Shabbat. It was only sounded on Yom Kippur in a Jubilee year. Subsequently, the rabbis created the practice of the shofar sound every Yom Kippur, rather than just the Jubilee year. Whilst the shofar nowadays is used on Rosh Hashanah and the month of Elul, in Talmudic times, it was also blown to introduce Shabbat. In Israel, a siren is used. At the inception of the diaspora, during the short-lived ban on playing musical instruments, the shofar was enhanced in its use as a sign of mourning for the destruction of the temple. Originally, the shofar was sounded on Shabbat in the temple in Jerusalem, After the temple's destruction, the sounding of the shofar on Shabbat was restricted to the place where the Great Sanhedrin was located. However, when the Sanhedrin ceased to exist, Halakha ruled that the Rosh Chodesh shofar blasts may not be sounded on, the Rosh Hashanah shofar blasts may not be sounded on Shabbat, in case of the Baal Tzakiyah may inadvertently carry the shofar. The sages indicated that the mitzvah was to hear the sound of the shofar. If a shofar was blown in a pit or a cave, one fulfilled the mitzvah if they heard the original sound, but not if they heard the echo. If the Baal Tzakiyah the shofar sounder blows with the intention that all who hear will perform the mitzvah, then anyone listening, even someone passing by who intends to hear the shofar, can perform the mitzvah because the Baal Tzakiyah blows for everybody. Although halakha only requires that the shofar is blown 30 times, the sages went one step further and decreed that the shofar is blown 100 times. This is based on the story of Sisera going out to do battle with the children of Israel. Yael, a Rechabite woman, beheads him, completing Israel's victory. Sisera's mother anxiously awaits her son's return, comforting herself with the thought of the rich spoils he will bring. How could a mother think only of the spoils of war when she and many other mothers were in danger of losing their sons? There are 101 letters in that part of the scripture. We sound the shofar for each of these letters, except the last one, to remind us of the difference between Sisera's arrogant and brazen mother and the true love a mother has for her children. Although the shofar is used for religious purposes, it's also used on other occasions. During the Ottoman and British rule of Jerusalem, Jews were not allowed to sound the shofar at the Kotel. After the Six-Day War, Rabbi Shlomo Goren famously approached the wall and sounded the shofar. This fact inspired Naomi Shemer to add an additional line in her song, Jerusalem of Gold, saying, "The shofar calls out from the Temple Mount in the Old City." The shofar has been sounded as a sign of victory and celebration. Jewish elders were photographed blowing the shofar after hearing that the Nazis surrendered on May the 8th, 1945. At the inauguration of the President of Israel, the shofar is blown once the President has been sworn in, followed by a call of "Long live the President." For musicians amongst us, due to the shofar's irregular shape, the harmonics obtained when playing the instrument can vary. Rather than a pure perfect fifth, intervals as narrow as a fourth or as wide as a sixth may be produced. The shofar has been used in bands, singers, and films. The shofar is used by the Israeli Oriental metal band Salam in their adaptation of Al Taster. In the film version of the musical Godspell, the first act opens with cast member David Haskell blowing the shofar. American composer Alvin Curran's project Shofar features the shofar as a virtuoso instrument. Madonna used a shofar played by Yitzhak Sinawi for the Confessions tour and the 2003 album Confessions on a Dance Floor. Edward Elgar's oratorio, The Apostles, includes the sound of the shofar. Elmer Bernstein appropriately incorporated the shofar into a score for the Cecil B. DeMille's film The Ten Commandments. In The Return of the Jedi, the Ewoks' horn calls are produced by the shofar, and Jerry Goldsmith's score for the films Alien and Planet of the Apes also include a shofar in their orchestration. We, on the other hand, acknowledge the sound of the shofar as a wake-up call and preparation for Rosh Hashanah. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for waking me up. That was really marvelous and well researched. A lot of research for that. Thank you very, very much. And that was excellent. All about the shofar. So shofar, so good. Okay. Now, thank you, Morris. We always look forward to hearing what you have to say. It's really marvelous. Now, Shabbat begins tonight at 7:31, ends tomorrow night 8:31. We're going to be davening in short 9:30 tomorrow morning. There will be a share at 9 o'clock. So those people who are who would like to come to the share, please come along. Even you, Harvey, even you. I know it's a long way to come. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, we're going to start with Yedid Nefesh, and Yedid Nefesh is to be found on page 256 in the Chief Rabbi Siddur. But I'm also going to share screen over here for you all. Oh, that's not opening very well. Let's see if I can get that opened. Hold on. That's better. Okay, that's better. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Yedid Nefesh Afarachamon Meshach Chavtecha El Tzoinecha Yadu Tzavtecha Kamo Ayal Yishtachaveh Emul Hadanecha Yerav Lo Yedidoisecha Minofet Sof V'chol To'am Adonai Ziv Ha'olam Nafshi Choylas Avosecha Ana El Narefa Na Beharosla Noam Zivecha Ostis Chazek V'sis Rapeh V'hayezala Simcha Soilam V'sik Yehemuna Rachamecha V'kusana Avenahu V'cha Ki Zeh Kamo Nichsavti Lilos V'Seferes Ozecha Chamda Libi V'chusana V'yalti Salam Higanela Uflois Chavivi Alai Et Sukat Shalomecha Ta'eret Mikvodecha Nagila V'nismachavach Maherehov Kiva Moed V'chaneinu Kimei Olam Diyamamama 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 Yaladai Dai Dai Diyamamama 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 Yaladai Dai Dai Diyamamama 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 Yaladai Dai Dai Diyamamama 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 Ya L'chuna ranana la doyanai Noria letzo yishayanu Lekama fanav basoyado Bismirois Naria Loi Adonai Omelech Adonakon Elohim Hashem Yadomech Ge'aretz V'tzarafas Hamimnoi Asher Lo Hayam V'hu Asahu V'yabeket Yadav Yadzoru Bo Yishtaker V'nivkara Lifnecha Adonai Adonai Sen Yikira Lehino Nachla Ama V'tzor V'tzon Yodah Hayam V'mekalis Yishma'o Al Takshu V'avechin Kimeriva Ki Yom Asa B'miba Asher Nisuni Avosechem V'chanoni Gam V'ufa'ani Abayim Shana Akot Bado Va'oma Amatei Levavhem Vehem Lo Yadu Dorachai Asher Nishbati V'yapi Im Yavoyu Amanu Chasi Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash. Shir Ladonai Kol Ha'aretz, Shir Ladonai Baruch Shemo. That's from Yom Liyom Yeshua Son Sapu Faken Kavod. B'chol Ha'amim Nifla Osav Ki Gadol Ladonai B'Ulo Ma'od. No Kol Elohim Ki Kol Elohei Ha'amim Elilim. Ladonai Shamayim Mosa V'Tvahadon Lefanov. Ois V'Sifedes B'Mikdasho Havu Ladonai Mishpachos Amim. Havu Ladonai Kavod V'Oz Havu Ladonai Kavod Shema. Zumin Chovod Chatz Havu Yishtachu Ladonai B'Hados Kodesh. Kilim Yipana Kolor Simu V'Goy Ladonai Malach. Avtikon Tevu Batimot. Yadim Amim B'Meishavim. Yismechu HaShamayim. V'Sahagel Haaretz. Yidam Hayomum Noyoy. Yalod Sadai V'Cholai Sheboy. Oz Yirananu Kolat Seyo. Lifnei Adonai Kiva. Kiva Lishboi Ta'aretz. Yishboi Tevel B'Tzedek. V'Amim Be'emunosoi. Adonai Malach. Tagel Ha'aretz Yismechu. Yim Rabim. Anam Falafel Suvot Setikum Mishkan B'Chon Kisai. Eish Lefanav Teilech. Was lahit some with some of he without some how long we've gone was like if they call it's he could actually man see even though I'm to ever should call of their vessel I'm it's Hanalim to Elim he's talking to no color to him some of it is Maxi on the Tagel the Menosi who da the man Bishpatech Adonai Adonai Eliana Kola Arets Miod Na Leisa Akol Elohim Ohavei Adonai Sinura Shomer Nafshos Chasidah Miyad Rishayim Yatzilem Oh Zaru Ala Tzadik Uleyifelei Simcha Simchu Tzadikim Adonai V'hoidu L'zeicher Kodsho Mitzvah Shivur Adonai Shechadash Ki Nifla Osa Sachar Shir Lo Yaminu Osa Kodsho Otia Adonai Yeshu Osa Minei HaKohen Ki Dasi Kosai Zakal Chasdom Ve'emuno Soi Bevei Fitzvah Kolosai Ovid Eisi Shuvah Salahinu Ovilat Nekolos Kitzkum Radnon Zamu Zamu Lanai Bechino Bechino Kol Zimo Bakat Zoin Tzvah Tzvah Kol Shoyafah Hari Ulifnei Hamelech Adonai Yiram Hayamum Noyoy Yiram Hayamum Noyoy Tevel V'yoy Shveivo Nohonot Yimacharuchav Yachat Vanim Yedaneinu Lifnei Adonai Kiva Lishboi Tzaretz Yishboi Tevel B'Tzedek V'Amim B'Meisharim Adonai Malach Yikazil Amim Yoshev Kuluvim Tanut Ha'aretz Adonai B'Tzion Gadol V'Namhu Al Kol Ha'amim Yodushim HaGadol V'Nari Kadoshu Yoz Melech Mishpat HaHev Atar Konanta Meisharim Mishpat Taztakov Ya'akov V'Atar Sisa Lama Mu Adonai Lehim Mishtakov V'Lahadman Kadoshu Oshem Yahavov B'Choy Hana Ushmoel B'Koyli Shemoy Koylim El Adonai V'Hu Yadeh B'Muhodanam Yidameh Aleihem Shamu Eidoisa V'Choy Knosam Lamoy Adonai Eloheinu, Ato Anisam, and Moshe Hagisa Lahem, then I came, Ala Liloisam, Ramam, Adonai Eloheinu, V'Yishtachavu, L'Hakodsho, Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Mizmor LaDavid Havu Adonai B'nei Edim Havu Adonai kavod va'oz lai 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 avul Adonai kavod shemo yishtachavu Adonai tahat lakodesh kol Adonai al hamoyim el hakavod kirim Adonai Amayim Rabim Kol Adonai Hakoach Lai 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 Kol Adonai Kabehodo Kol Adonai Shove Adozim Lai Shafer Adonai Esazei Halvanot Ayav Kidem Kemo Egel Levadon Vasiliom Kamo Ben Lai 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 Kol Adonai Kol Seif Lahavoi Seif Kol Adonai Yochel Mihibo Yochel Adonai Mipa Kodesh Kol Adonai Yochel Adonai Vayechetzon Yeros Oveichalo Kolo Mekavod Lai 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 Adonai Lama Habun Yosef Vayishev Adonai Melech Li'olam Adonai Yos Li'amoyitein Adonai Yevarech Esamo Vashalom Lechadoidi lihikras kalo penei Shabbos nekabalo Lechadoidi lihikras kalo penei Shabbos nekabalo Shama v'zocho v'dibur echad yishmiyanu elam yuchad Adonai echad Ushmo yechad Shemo Siferes Velis Hilo Lechadoidi Lihikras Kalo Penei Shabbos Nekabalo Likras Shabbos Lechuvanel Chakimako Habaracha Melosh Mikentem Nasucha Sof Maseh B'machshava Techila Lechadoidi Lihikras Kalo Penei Shabbos Nekabalo Mikdash Melech Imanucha Komitz Say, Mitoicha Hafecha Rav Loch Shevet, B'yemek Habacha, Yachamo, Ola Yichem Lo, Lechadoidi, Lihikras Kalo, Penei Shabbos Nekabalo, Hisnavi, Meyofaku milivshi big day, Sifatecha miyad yad ben Yishai beis alofi, Kavod el nafshi keyala, Lechadoidi lihikras kalo, Penei Shabbos nekabalo, Hisoyveri kiva oirech, Komi oimi omi shida beidi kavod Adonai olai yichnikla lechadoidi lihikras kalo penei Shabbos nekabalo tadadam pam Loi sevoshi veloi sikami mahati shtoichachi Uma tehemi tam tadadam pam bach yechesu ani yehami v'nifnesa atila lechadoidi likras kalo yadadadadadadadadadadadai neishabos nekabloi lechadoidi Likras kalo, la 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 b'nei Shabbos nekablo, la 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 la, v'hayulim chiso shoy soyich ורחקו כל מבלויך, לילי, 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 יוסיס עלייך, אלוהיך, כי נשאס חסון, הקלוי, לך דוידי, לקפס כחלו, פני שעה, אז נקבלוי, דם, ימים מוסמו, תפלויצי, ויסדוני תדיצי, דם, על ידיש, בפלצי, ונשמחה ונוקי לו, לך דוידי, לקרס קלו, פני שבוס נקבלה, אוי לך דוידי, לקרס קלו, פני שבוס נקבלה, בואי בשלום, אתן אספלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, לילי, תיני, פחמוני, אמסכולה, בואי חלה, לך דוידי, לקרס קלה, פני שבוס נקבלה, לך דוידי, לקרס קלה, פני שבוס נקבלה. Okay, we now turn to page 12, 4, Yigdal. Please join in with me. Yigdal Elohim Chai ve'yishtabach nimso v'yehnei sel metziyusoi echad v'yein yachid ke'yichudo nelam v'gam ein sof v'yachdusoi Eloi demusago v'yehnoi kuf Loi na'arei chelav kedushasoi Kamon l'chol davar asher nifra Shom v'yein reishis l'reishisoi Hino adon olam l'chol notzar Yorek etulasoi malchusoi Shefa nevuasoi nesono Elan shesegulasoi v'sivchalotoi Lord, come bring Israel. Come on, Sheyoit. Navi Omabit. Testamun noso. Toras emes. No sandi amorel. Aliat neviyo. Meman beisor. Lo yachal lifoel. Velo yamim tasoi. Liyo elohimim. Lezuloso. Sofem viyodea. Sesorenu. Mapit lesof davar bekat moso. Gomer leish chesed. Kamif adloi. Noisein the Rashon Ra. Karish asa. Ishlach leketz hayamim. Meshichenu. Iftos mechakeket Yeshu asa. Meisim yachayel. Baroim chastoi. Baruch Adeyat. Shem tehilosoi. Together. Meisim yachayel. Baroim chastoi. Baruch Adeyat. Shem tehilosoi. Shabbat shalom. Good Shabbos, everybody. Good Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Thank you,
Shabbos.
Rabbi.
Thank you very much.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Good